What if the most profound lessons you need for future growth are already sitting there, unexamined in your past? We experience so much every single day, right? But how often do we truly, learn from it, really distill those raw moments into actual wisdom? This deep dive is all about unlocking that power. Think of your past experiences like an untouched gold mine. We're here to give you the maps, maybe the tools to start digging for those precious nuggets of insight. We'll explore how intentionally reviewing your past isn't just some useful habit, it's actually a fundamental process. It's backed by some pretty profound psychological theories and, importantly, incredibly practical tools. It's how you transform that raw experience into actionable insights, into genuine wisdom, really propelling your future growth in, well, everything: health, mindset, personal development. So let's start with the foundation of how we learn, because it's probably more dynamic than you might think. The core idea here is that learning isn't just about passively acquiring new info, right? It's a constant, active process of making sense of what we actually live through.
Exactly. Yeah. And this brings us to something called experiential learning theory, or ELT. Its roots are in the work of foundational thinkers like John Dewey. And the key insight, like you said, is that learning isn't about passively receiving information. It's about actively transforming your lived experience. It's the difference between, say, just reading a recipe and truly becoming a master chef by actually cooking, tasting, adapting.
Right, getting your hands dirty.
Precisely. So ELT describes this as a continuous cycle. It's got 4 interconnected stages. First, you have concrete experience. That's just living it, feeling it, doing something in the moment, raw, unfiltered.
Just the happening.
Yeah, the happening. Then you move into reflective observation. This is where you step back and genuinely think about, okay, what just happened? Next is abstract conceptualization. This is where you connect the dots, form a new aha idea maybe, or see how this experience fits into the bigger picture of what you already know.
So moving from what happened to what does it mean?
Exactly. And finally, you reach active experimentation. This is where you take those new ideas, those concepts, and you test them out in new situations. And then, the cycle begins again, but you're richer for what you've learned.
And what really struck me about this, going back to Dewey, is his insight that just everyday experience can be quite conservative, tradition bound. Think about it. We often just go through the motions, right? Following routines without much conscious thought.
Autopilot.
Yeah, exactly. So true learning, real growth often kicks in when we interrupt that flow. It's when we get stuck with a problem or we're struck by something strange or unexpected that really challenges our assumptions. That's often what triggers this deeper reflection. So the powerful takeaway here seems to be that discomfort isn't necessarily a barrier to growth. It's often the catalyst.
That's such a crucial distinction. And in ELT, all nodes of the cycle are considered experiences. It's not just the initial doing that counts. Even, say, a classroom lecture can be a concrete experience if you're really engaged and it sparks something inside you. And solitary reflection, just thinking by yourself, can be an intensely emotional, concrete experience too. This holistic view is vital. It means learning isn't just about external events. It's about how you transform that experience, whether it's external or internal, like a thought through reflection, and then conceptualization, and then crucially, how you act on those insights.
Okay, so let's bring this down to earth. What does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, these experiential lessons give you a richer, much more meaningful understanding. Why? Because the information gets stored directly in your autobiographical memory. It becomes your story, not just some fact you memorized from a book.
Right, it sticks differently. It really does. And they enhance the emotional quality of what you learn. And perhaps most importantly, they can fundamentally shape your beliefs about learning itself and about yourself. This leads to significant personal insights, better awareness of your own perspectives, and maybe even understanding others better through that critical reflection. But could you give us a really simple, everyday example? How does this play out in someone's life, maybe in a way they hadn't even thought about?
Oh, absolutely. A great question. Think about learning to ride a bike. You don't just read a manual, do you?
Definitely not.
You try. That's a concrete experience. You probably fall another concrete experience, maybe less pleasant.
Usually, yeah.
Then you reflect, right? What went wrong? Maybe my balance was off. Maybe I wasn't looking far enough ahead. That's reflective observation. You then realize, I need to shift my weight differently or focus my gaze further down the path. That's abstract conceptualization. And then you try again with that new understanding. That's active experimentation. Every single wobble, every scraped knee becomes part of your unique learning journey. It shapes not just your ability to ride the bike, but maybe your confidence in tackling other new physical challenges. That's experiential learning right there.
Right.
And it applies to everything, navigating a tricky conversation, mastering a new skill at work. It's everywhere.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we understand the cycle, that bike example really helps. But the big question is, how do we actually transform these powerful ideas into actionable steps in your life? And that's where specific tools come in, like retrospective analysis. Sounds a bit formal, but what is it really?
Yeah, it sounds more complex than it is. Retrospective analysis is essentially just looking back at past events, actions, maybe even data you have, to identify patterns and draw conclusions. The goal, to improve future outcomes. It's a real game changer, honestly. Whether you're trying to boost your personal productivity or improve your health habits or make sure a big project succeeds.
So what are the benefits? How does it help?
Well, benefits are pretty clear. First, you can identify patterns you might have completely missed otherwise. Maybe you track your study habits and then you correlate them with your grades. You might discover that actually short focus bursts work way better for you than those long marathon sessions.
Interesting.
Right. It also enhances decision-making. You can literally apply lessons learned from past projects or personal situations to inform how you approach things next time. And really importantly, it boosts accountability. It helps you hold yourself responsible for successes and failures. That fosters a sense of ownership and motivates better choices going forward.
Okay, so how do you actually do one? For yourself?
It's pretty straightforward. You start by setting clear objectives. What exactly do you want to learn from looking back at this event or period? Be specific. Then, you collect relevant data. This could be anything: notes you took, calendar entries, emails, messages, maybe even your personal journals.
Right, pulling the evidence together.
Exactly. Then, you analyze that data. Look for trends, critical moments, recurring emotions or thoughts, what stands out. And the final step, the most crucial one, is to implement the findings. Turn those insights into actionable strategies for the future. Just a word of caution, though. Retrospective analysis isn't foolproof. Bias, like selective memory, can definitely creep in. Our memories aren't perfect recordings.
Yeah, we remember things the way we want to sometimes.
Precisely. That's why documenting things as they happen, even simple notes, quick voice memos, can be incredibly helpful. It gives you more objective data to look back on.
And you mentioned journals there. One of the most accessible tools for this kind of analysis has got to be reflective journaling, right? It feels like just creating that dedicated space is half the battle.
Absolutely. It really is. Reflective journaling is such a powerful learning technique. It's used everywhere: medical training, nursing, even therapy. It seriously enhances critical thinking and helps you actually apply new knowledge. It improves professional practice through that deep critical reflection. It gives you space for introspection, for concept attainment, for problem solving, action planning. Even just reorganizing your thoughts. It really helps you examine how you might respond differently to similar events in the future.
Can you give an example of how powerful this can be?
Yeah, there's a fascinating example from therapists treating veterans with PTSD. They used journaling to reflect on their decision-making, especially in really complex cases. And they found some really interesting things, like even the most effective evidence-based treatments often needed modifications or maybe extra components for certain individuals.
Not one size fits all.
Not at all. For instance, one therapist talked about incorporating spiritual questioning into the therapy for one patient. Another modified a treatment to focus only on intimacy, as the patient described it, by cutting out all the fat and just getting to the meat.
Wow.
Crucially, through this reflection, they learned to trust their own experience and their clinical judgment, sometimes going beyond what the manual strictly prescribed. They might even blend different therapeutic approaches if they felt it was right for the patient. It really highlighted things like the vital importance of the therapeutic relationship, how to navigate patient avoidance, and that constant balancing act between sticking to a treatment model and doing what's genuinely best for the patient in front of them.
It sounds like these therapists found that journaling really helped them slow down and actually think about their experiences. It gave them that dedicated space to reflect on the hard stuff, the challenges, and kind of validate the inherent complexity of their work. It's a great reminder that even the experts are constantly learning from their lived experiences. So for listeners, how can they start applying this today? What are some simple prompts to get started with reflective journaling?
Exactly. For you listening, think about some simple prompts you could use. Maybe start with, how did you make a recent decision? What factors truly influenced it when you really dig down? Or, what surprises, good or bad, did you experience in a situation recently? And why were they surprising to you? What successes or challenges did you notice? What do you think contributed to them? Based on this reflection, what are your immediate next steps, even small ones? What might you do differently next time faced with something similar? And maybe the bigger question, how does this particular experience contribute to your overall learning, your overall practice, shaping the person you're becoming?
That's great. But reflecting on experiences, it isn't just a purely cognitive exercise, is it? It feels like it's deeply, deeply tied up with our emotions.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is where emotional intelligence, EI, becomes so vital. It's about integrating our logical brain with our emotional reactions, our heart.
That's exactly right. Emotional intelligence is just a pivotal skill. It's about understanding and managing your own emotions and also those of others. And it's not just about managing emotions right here, right now, in the moment. It's also about actively processing past emotional experiences to inform your future choices. EI helps you integrate your head, your logical thinking, with your heart, your emotional reactions. The goal is to make more informed, more balanced decisions, and crucially, ensuring they stay aligned with your personal values.
And a big part of EI is empathy, right?
Yes, empathy is a cornerstone. It's that ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's critical because it actually helps you regulate your own emotions too, and it fosters a deeper sense of connection. For example, if you reflect on a past conflict using empathy, you might genuinely try to consider the other person's perspective. That could completely change your understanding of what happened.
So how can people enhance empathy? Any practical tips?
Yeah, there are definitely things you can practice. Actively listen more than you talk. Really hear what's being said, not just wait for your turn. Allow yourself to be vulnerable sometimes. Admit when you don't know something or if you made a mistake. Try to suspend judgment when someone is speaking, even if you disagree initially. Use your imagination. Really try to step into their shoes, see it from their angle, and consciously tune into the welfare of others. Think about how your actions might impact them.
And this isn't just about, feeling good or being nice either. Developing EI through this kind of continuous self-assessment and active listening leads directly to better personal growth and stronger social connections. It's a skill you can absolutely develop and sharpen over time. It unlocks your potential for a much more fulfilling life. But in your view, what's one of the biggest misconceptions people tend to have about emotional intelligence?
That's a good one. I think a big misconception is that it's just about being nice or always agreeable. That's really not it. True emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing your emotions or, avoiding conflict at all costs. It's about understanding your emotions, managing them effectively, and using that self-awareness to make better choices, even when those choices are difficult or unpopular. It's much more about being authentic and resilient, not just, superficially pleasant.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, so all of this we've been discussing today. The experiential learning cycle, these practical tools like reflective journaling, cultivating emotional intelligence, it feels like it's all building towards something bigger, something like wisdom.
That's the ultimate outcome, isn't it? Wisdom. We could define wisdom as the ability to apply knowledge, yes, but also experience and good judgment to navigate life's complexities. It's definitely more than just raw intelligence. It involves a deeper comprehension of human nature, of moral principles, and understanding the long-term consequences of your actions. From a psychological perspective, wisdom is often linked to maturity, to better emotional regulation, and to a sophisticated way of thinking about your own thinking.
Metacognition.
Exactly, metacognitive processes. Things like recognizing the limits of what you actually know, acknowledging uncertainty and change as constants, paying attention to the broader context, the bigger picture, not just the immediate details, and being able to integrate different perspectives on a situation, even conflicting ones.
And what really brings this home for me is that phenomenon called Solomon's paradox. We've all been there, right? Giving absolutely brilliant advice to a friend about a problem that we're secretly struggling with ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Solomon's paradox suggests we tend to be much wiser when we're advising others than when we're dealing with our own stuff. Why do you think it's so hard to apply that same wisdom to our own lives?
It's fascinating, isn't it? And the paradox highlights precisely why structured self-reflection is so powerful. Things like reflective journaling, or even just engaging in conversational learning like this, where other perspectives challenge your own. See, when it's someone else's problem, we naturally gain a bit of emotional distance.
You can step back.
Exactly. That allows us to see the situation more objectively, maybe free from our own intense anxieties or biases related to it. So structured self-reflection helps you achieve that same kind of detached, broader perspective on your own experiences. And that's absolutely essential for cultivating wisdom. It's really about stepping out of the immediate swirl of emotion and looking at your situation almost as if you were advising a trusted friend. And remember, wisdom isn't just about clever insights. It requires careful reflection, ethical consideration. It's a dynamic process. It's not some fixed trait you either have or don't. It grows as you continuously engage with and learn from your experiences, consciously digging for those insights.
So the deep dive today really showed us that true growth isn't just about constantly pushing forward. It's also profoundly about looking back, but with intention, transforming your lived experiences into, well, stepping stones for whatever comes next.
Absolutely. By embracing that experiential learning cycle we talked about, by practicing tools like reflective journaling and actively honing your emotional intelligence, you really do transform every challenge, every triumph into a stepping stone. You don't just have experiences anymore, you actively learn from them. You build this foundation of wisdom that genuinely empowers your future.
So as we wrap up, what stands out to you listening? How will you begin to consciously review your life lessons? How will you start digging for those gold nuggets in your own past? And maybe consider this. If wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge and experience with good judgment, then every single moment you take to reflect on your journey isn't just about looking backward. You're actively creating the wise person you are becoming right now. What powerful insights are just waiting for you to uncover in your own past?